Fostering inquisitive minds through scientific exploration. That's the theme for the second annual science fair hosted by St. Catherine Academy in Belize City. The fair, which serves to prepare students for a national competition, visits all corners of science, as explained by teacher at the institution, Melissa Spat.
We have every form participating in the fair, and what happens is that each class, the class members are grouped between 3 to 4 members per group, and they all take on an experiment that they want to prove. And so what really is done is the entire key thing to this is a scientific process, looking at how it teaches students how to approach a problem, identify the problem, hypothesize it, test it, experiment it, and then whenever all that is done is that they come up with a conclusion. And so we have various forms of experiments, starting from the basic volcano eruption to making plastic out of milk, or incubating, the process of incubation when it comes to hatching of an egg. We've had students coming up with ideas of generating other sources of energy for electricity.
Preparation was integral in each and every experiment, since they had to be presented to a group of judges.
We have an esteemed panel of judges, so while we're speaking and the exhibitions are taking place, the groups go into the judges' room, and we have a building set aside only for judging. So each classroom has a division of 3 to 4 judges. And these judges vary from educators to members of the Ministry of Education, members of the Ministry of Energy, Forensics Department. We have members from BNE, BEL. So we try to get these people from the community who are very much experienced in their field, and we bring them here to give their words of advice while they're judging to the girls.
Love News caught up with students Tina Lu, Suraya Solis, and Yelena Goff, who had just presented with the judges. They explained their project to us.
Our project was heat from peat, which is actually heat from compost, and we were trying to determine how much heat energy a 15-kilogram pile of compost would create.
It just came across our minds while we were researching on ideas for project, and then we found that it's really applicable in Belize because we're really big on the agricultural sector.
How long did it actually take you to start from the idea to actually getting into experimenting with it to now where you are presenting your experiment?
I would say roughly about 2 months, because then the entire process of collecting, and we didn't want to buy the things, we wanted to use recyclable materials, and then also the data, it's a lot to collect because it took like a period of 8 days to collect all the information and from the actual pile, so it did take a good while.
The next experiment involves fruits. Students Sydney Medina and Ling Ling Tam explained.
The name of our project is called Tutti Frutti Fuel, right? So the point of it is that it's an alternative source of energy, and we're going to power this weed whacker right here, okay? So what we did is that we fermented the fruit, like when you ferment wine, we use banana and grapefruit because banana produces a lot of sugar already, and grapefruit's very easy to ferment. So what we did is the byproduct of that is the ethanol that's produced, and when we put in the 2.5 pounds of sugar and the 3 packets of yeast, it like quadruples the amount of time that for the ethanol to be produced. And so this is our byproduct of the ethanol itself.
What we have is that we have our byproduct, the ethanol, the mixture. So then we're trying to separate the ethanol and the water, and ethanol boils at a certain temperature, like 78, and then we're trying to monitor our temperature, because if it exceeds 100, that's when we start to get water and ethanol, and we're trying to get 100% pure ethanol. So basically what we have is that this is like our distillation using a flask, distillation flask. So our mixture is in the distillation flask, and when it reaches at a temperature of 78 and above, right, the vapor of the ethanol starts to rise, and it gets caught up in a column right there, and then the ethanol, the water coming from this faucet actually goes up to there and cools down the vapor, turning it into a liquid, and it trickles down back into our pure ethanol.
One of the major sponsors for today's event was SMART. So it was only fitting to ask Public Relations Officer for SMART, Ian Courtney, why SMART decided to also experiment by sponsoring the event.
We at SMART felt that it is important to help foster science and technology amongst the young people in our country. so that companies like ourselves can be more self-reliant on local talent and experience rather than having to outsource in other countries. And also to try and point out different avenues in which our young people can, develop themselves and develop careers in industry in our country.
What if it hits your head?
Reporting for Love News, I am Natalie Novello.